Michelle's worked for over 20 years in social work and is very excited to be a supporter of this great cause. So working as a social worker, she's helped people with many things, being able to provide basic needs to clients, and she thinks it's an amazing service to help relieve stresses of everyday life. And we at St. Louis Public Library have had a partnership with the St. Louis Area Diaper Bank and Alliance for Period Supplies for a few years now, and we actually distribute period kits with period supplies in them through their generous partnership. So thank you so much for being here today, Michelle. Yay! All right, our next panelist is Cindy Reyes from Planned Parenthood. Cindy is the Youth Programs Coordinator in the Education Department at Planned Parenthood of the St. Louis region in Southwest Missouri. The leading provider and educator and protector of reproductive health care in St. Louis and Southwest Missouri for 90 years. The Education Department works to provide the information that people of all ages and identities need to make informed sexual and reproductive health choices, and empowers people to invest in their well-being. In her role, Cindy leads the Teen Advocates for Sexual Health program, a youth group, and for regional high schoolers to explore and discuss sexual health and wellness. She's also a community educator, sex toy historian, and accomplished musician. Welcome, Cindy. And I have to say, we've had some really wonderful programming with Planned Parenthood this week. We've done a whole positive about periods program this week at St. Louis Public Library. So Planned Parenthood did a program for adults for us on Monday, and then Cindy came and did a wonderful program called Period 101 for kids and teens on Wednesday, and we're very thankful for your partnership. All right, my last panelist is Louisa Martin from the Free Period Project STL. Louisa is a senior at Ladue High School. She created her nonprofit, Free Period Project STL, about a year and a half ago. She was tired of seeing those with periods in the city go without proper menstrual hygiene items. So their organization supplies these items to schools and other organizations in the area. They're very passionate about period poverty and how we can all work together to end it. So thank you so much, Louisa, for coming. We're so excited to have you all here. My first question for you all is just, had you ever seen that film before? And if you haven't, what were your thoughts about it? Lisa, if you want to go first.
I hadn't, I'd heard of it, but I'd never seen it. I feel like I probably should have, because I think it's very impactful, just to see kind of like a different side. I try to do a lot of research and focus on not just the St. Louis area, but sometimes it's easy to get caught up in that. So I think it's something that everybody should definitely watch.
Maybe I need to lean closer. Hello?
Oh, I don't know if yours is working.
Oh, no. Here.
Hello?
Yeah.
I have not seen that film before, actually, but what I think the biggest thing I noticed from it is how much impact came from not having access to menstrual supplies. Not only were they able to create jobs for themselves by creating these supplies, but they were also able to allow other women and girls in their neighborhood, in their community, to gain independence. Because now, they were able to take care of themselves privately and more hygienically, so then in the long run, it also impacted their health as well. So it impacted their independence, their jobs, meaning their wealth, as well as their health. So just menstruation and access impacts everything, which I think really stood out to me from the film.
Okay. I had seen the film, it had been a while. I think, I don't know, this will be very different. I was amazed how a pad was made. So, yeah, that's really what stood out. I think I am aware of, the access and the tabooism that exists, not only in other countries, but right here in our own country. How many men will go in and buy their daughter's pads at the grocery store and they get all embarrassed and they want to hide them. So to me that wasn't as shocking. I was kind of impressed on how a pad was made and they were able to whip it out that easily. And they have came a long way, so hopefully they can improve their production, because the pads that we have, thousands of pads available to, you go to the store, you can get confused on what to buy.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you all so much for sharing your thoughts about the film. Obviously, the film addressed issues in India, but as Michelle said, we see these issues also locally, and I think all of us are working to kind of address those issues in St. Louis. So, period poverty really addresses both the stigmatization of menstruation and the lack of access to products and education. So we really want to discuss both of those things today, the stigmatization of menstruation and then also period poverty's lack of access to products and education. So what are some of the things that your organizations do to address these issues, both stigmatization and period poverty? Michelle, would you like to start this out? Sure.
So, well, the Diaper Bank, St. Louis Area Diaper Bank has two programs. One's the Diaper Initiative program, the other one is the Alliance for Period Poverty. So we do advocacy work with the state legislators. We were really close last year to get a bill passed that would have eliminated the taxes on period products. So some of you may have heard of it. It's the pink tax, or products in Missouri are taxed at a luxury item rate and not just food rates of 1%, they're taxed additionally higher. So we had a bill that was it got stalled at the last minute because everything happens like that in legislative sessions, but it did not pass, but we are working again with them this year, and we just had our first meeting in Jefferson City, and I think it has a very good chance of getting passed this year. It won't eliminate the tax, but it'll take it down to 1%. The biggest issue the state of Missouri had was where are they going to come up with the money that they anticipate getting from the luxury tax to fund other programs. That's kind of, I mean, I don't remember the figure, but it's a massive amount of money that they were having this, well, we're going to come up with $2 million. So just to think that they're taxing us at a higher rate for basic need products is really amazing. So we do a lot with advocacy. We also provide products to those. We have two ways that we give out products. So we have a partnership model. So you can't come to the diaper bank to get period supplies or diapers. You have to find a partner agency. So we have two models for our partner agencies. We have what's called just a basic distribution model, such as the libraries, where you can just come in, you can get a pack of diapers, or you can get a pack of 20 period products that will help you get through your menstrual cycle for the month. We also have a partnership with people who provide case management services. So if you're going into a home and you're trying to help people break the cycle of poverty, we have that type of partnership where they can bring them to you, or you can get them at your visit with your caseworker or case manager. So that's kind of how we do the whole access. And then the stigma is just, the more you talk about it, the more you get the word out, the more you get free stuff out. Hopefully, like the first time you come to the library, you might shove your period pack into your bag so nobody can see it. Maybe by the third time you just don't care anymore and you just carry it out, and then somebody will say, oh, they got something free, and then, because everybody loves free stuff. So then they're gonna come and say, what did she get free in that bag? And then she's gonna say, oh, tampons, and they're gonna freak out because they didn't know it was tampons. They were hoping it was something better. So it's just basically word of mouth, and then just getting them into the schools and getting girls comfortable with their product options available. We also have reusable products. So there's always controversy with people who want to support the causes. If you would give a reusable product, then there wouldn't be lack of period products every month because they could just reuse them, which is true in circumstances. Same thing with diapers. Not everybody has access to washing machines, not everybody has a house. So like, you're not going to have a reusable pad, not going to do you any good if you're living on the streets. So when we work with homeless shelters, and then not all teenagers have great home lives where they can wash their clothes, or their parents will even do it. Most people would probably prefer to use disposable. So you can't really force something on somebody, that's not their choice. So if you want to use a reusable product, that should be your choice, and not because, well, you should because you're low income, or this would be more economical for you, because you wouldn't have to buy them. So we really can't force that option on anybody. If anyone is ever interested in trying reusable products, you should reach out to us, or say you want to come to the library here, you could ask for a reusable product, and she could actually order reusable products and have them here on stock. I have quite a bit that gets donated that just doesn't get used. So our kits do not have reusable products in them. They have to be requested. But we do have lots of different Diva cups. We have the disc, which are not reusable, but they're disposable, but they're not really reusable. And then we do have pads, reusable pads, so if anybody would be interested in that, ever just request them from your library. And then Eric, I don't know, I'm not sure who actually orders, but whoever would place the order could order a few of the reusable products just to have on hand. So that's kind of what we do at the diaper bank.
Good, yeah.
Cool.
All right, pass them. Cindy.
Oh, that's right, yeah, sure.
So I do really want to speak for the education department, which is in the name, tackles education about menstruation by going into the community and providing sessions that are, like on Wednesday, period 101, like just covering what even is a period, who has the possibility of getting a period, because there may be people who just don't know. They may not have even heard of the word menstruation before, and so tackling that issue in the first place, and then going further and normalizing that talk, and kind of addressing that stigma that menstruation may come with it, and just, being very open, like, there's such a thing as being on your cycle, there's such a thing as having a period, and this is what it means, is a big part of the education. Excuse me. In terms of the stigma, also is addressing that it's not just women and girls who experience menstruation. There are also some trans men, as well as some gender non-conforming folks who experience menstruation as well. So using very inclusive and gender expansive language allows everybody to be brought into the conversation about menstruation without excluding anybody who may be experiencing it but is uncomfortable with the environment that it's being taught in. So that's probably the biggest way that stigma is being addressed.
So at 3 Period Project, we kind of get right into the schools. Being a high school student myself and once a middle schooler who had just gotten, my period, I know firsthand, I'm sure a lot of you have similar stories, how not embarrassing, I don't want to say because it isn't something that's embarrassing, but how it can almost feel like you're supposed to feel embarrassed when you get your period at school, or you bleed through your pants, or you have to sneak away and ask a friend for a product. And we really wanted to try to kind of eliminate that. And so on the kind of supplying part, we make baskets that go in gender neutral and female restrooms at schools, and they also go to the nurse's office just in case people feel more comfortable. And I know in some schools they have them in the principal's office and other things, but we ask that they don't just, and kind of what you said, they don't just go in the female restrooms, that they go in, everywhere, so everybody can have access. But in these baskets we have a certain amount of plus size tampons, like the bigger ones, the super regular, everything, just so everyone feels comfortable. And that way, if someone were to get their period, they could just go to the bathroom, take care of it themselves, not have to ask anybody. And then we also supply, we give the schools products to refill the baskets, but we also ask that if a student requests a product on their own, like an actual box, that they give them to them. We work with a lot of schools that are not, sorry. A lot of our schools, the students there don't really have access to these products, and it can be stressful enough to ask your parents for, money for food or clothes, and having to ask for something like menstrual products, while it should be a norm, isn't. And so we're just trying to eliminate that in one way, in whatever way we can. And then on the stigma side of it, we have an Instagram, because we kind of try to target people my age, teens, but also everybody. But we're trying to get people, not just at the schools that we help, but people in more, like my peers at my own school, people near us, to kind of open their eyes to maybe the privilege that they have, that they can access these products without worry, and they don't have to think about where they're going to get their next pad. And it's just, social media is right now the best way, so that's kind of how we do it. I have 2 people in the audience that help me with that, so yeah.
Awesome. Can I do? Thank you. It was so fun sharing your life. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna make you speak again, Lisa, because I'm just so interested to know what the process of being a youth-led organization and getting period supplies into different schools other than your own. What was that like, and how did you approach that?
So we actually don't even work with my own school. I know that the diaper bank at my middle school, actually, I think St. Louis Lines Period supplies products for the middle school, but our high school doesn't have any. We have machines that I think used to be a quarter, but now they're not. They're free this year. So I'm lucky enough to have a mom that works in the nonprofit area, so I kind of knew a little bit. She helped me with the rest, but I presented this idea to my friend in the audience a while ago, and I was like, wouldn't it be kind of cool? And it's when I was 16 at the time, like it's not I want to create a nonprofit. That's not really a talked about thing. So I just had to plan and plan and plan until finally I was like, okay, I have enough support through my peers and my parents and everything, my friends, to apply for nonprofit status. And then after we did that, it's easier to kind of seem more legit. So we started fundraising, and we hold drives. So probably like 2 or 3 times a year we hold drives, and we always do them at Deer Creek Coffee in Ladue. I don't know if any of you know where that is, but we hold drives there, and we get a very decent amount of products. And recently we've been very lucky with financial donations. St. Louis Track Club has a charity race that they put on, and we're one of the beneficiaries. So every year for that race we receive a certain amount of money from them, which has been very helpful. So kind of what we do is we take all the products from the drive and we distribute those first and try to get those out to our schools. And I just we make contact with the schools through social workers, or if we have to, principals. And anyway, we just reach out, and I reached out to probably 45 schools.
Wow.
And only heard back from like 10 maybe. So it's a process. It's hard. I don't know if they're not seeing it or if they're just like, maybe we don't want to mess with that. But and then we use the financial donations to buy the baskets that we provide. We provide underwear and leggings as well. And we're working on providing more, but that's currently what's in the budget. So in case of accidents and stuff like that. And then we also use that money to buy. I'm a big fan of going to Costco and buying the big boxes because it gets a lot out. So yeah, we do every 3 months, I'd say, we drop off at schools. And I'm lucky enough to have some people that can help with that. It gets kind of busy, but yeah, right now I'm just trying to balance college applications, my nonprofit, and I run cross country, so we're working. It's good. I hope to bring it to college with me wherever I go. So
That's really amazing. I think that's great. It's a youth-led organization. You do it all yourself, and we all know how busy high schoolers are these days, especially. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Wonderful. All right, so some statistics, and I actually got this from the St. Louis Alliance for Period Supplies website. 2/3 of low-income folks in St. Louis can't afford period products. And that means 46% of low-income folks have to choose between food and period supplies. And I think that's a pretty astounding number that's in our area. And like I said before, St. Louis Public Library has a partnership with the St. Louis Alliance for Period Supplies to distribute period supplies at all 16 of our branches. And I think that's a really wonderful thing. I was just looking on our distribution statistics sheet today, and it looks like we've distributed over 50 period supply kits just this week of October, this first week of October. So it's definitely a very helpful resource for a lot of our people in our community. I was wondering, Michelle, if you could talk a little bit more about the partnership that we have and that you have with other organizations in St. Louis, and how they came to be, and how, if you have any like success stories or anything like that.
Okay, so so the partnership fee, let me just start off and say, a lot of people think, so we distribute 3 million diapers, and we're on target to maybe hit about 800,000 period products this year. Throughout the St. Louis region, we go into East St. Louis, we do cover a little bit in St. Charles and Jefferson County. So we're not just restricted at all with just St. Louis. We are all private funded, grant funded. We receive no state or federal funding. So we have partnerships. Partnerships do have a fee. So nobody can just call us and say, we want free items, because in the world of anything, everything costs money. So we get a lot of products donated, but we buy a lot also. So we probably, on the diaper end, we buy 3 million diapers, and we get probably around 500,000 diapers donated every year. On the period supplies, that's a little different because we don't track inventory by diaper, or like diapers we track by actual diaper. Period supplies, there's way too many. We actually just track by what we distribute out. But I would say we get, of the 800,000, we probably get about 400,000 period products donated a year, and then we purchase the remainder that we need. Because we are a larger organization, we work through a distributor. So in our kits, we have 3 options of kits available. We do pad-only kits, we do tampon-only kits, and then there's a mixed kit. There's 20 products in each kit. So basically the library partners with us for the year. They pay a small fee. For the 1,000 kits, it's $300. I think for 1,250 kits, the fee for the partners is $300. That gets them 20 products in each kit. And that's how all of our partnerships work. We have to, we are a not-for-profit, but we have to have money to buy more products. So it's nice that, you can start. And the one thing is helpful for you is now that you have your not-for-profit status, you can apply for small funding and grants that will help you bring money in. So you have to start small. We have partnerships with food pantries. We have partnerships with homeless shelters, with domestic violence shelters, with schools, a lot of middle schools with parents as teachers groups. I'm trying to think of who else. So the county library, the city libraries are our big ones. And that's so nice because people can just walk in the door and they're centrally located, so you don't always have to take a bus to go, because a lot of people don't have transportation, and to go everywhere. And they can come every month and get a kit. If they need a kit, if they have an extremely heavy period, they can ask for 2 kits and they can give them 2 kits. We don't put our products in bathrooms. Really, we don't really just fill them in bathrooms. Ours are designed to take home. And then we also have a first period kit that has reusable. So if any of you have the Ipsy subscription where you get the little bag every month and you have them all in your closet, you don't know what to do with them, you can donate them to us. We make first period kits out of those. And then we distribute those mostly to middle schools, or I don't know what they're called because I'm old, so 5th grade, 6th grade, I don't know if it's intermediate school, middle school. We distribute those to those girls when they first have the period, then they have a cute little bag that they can bring back, and then they can bring their products to school with them as they need them. So it's just basically just a partnership to distribute them. where we think people need them in the schools. We just donated, we had a grant through the Cardinals Care grant that provided us 750 kits that we donated to Jennings School District. There was a big news story last year that they said 1 in 4 girls would miss school every time they'd have their period. So we just literally last week took 750 period kits to their school to give out. We see a majority of the schools request pad-only kits. So the majority of the products that we put out are pads. Tampons are requested a little bit less. You probably see the same thing. And I think that's just, a lot of that is just your religious beliefs. Some people can't use tampons because they believe that then you will lose your virginity, that's just in their religious belief not to use the tampon. Some people are just social or your race, economical status. It's what your parents are used to. I go to many places and they're like, oh, I'm not talking about that. I'm not gonna let my daughter use that tampon, or they're all like, they're taboo. And I used to work around a food pantry and I had a whole Bosnian population that I taught the girls how to, I said, just try it. Like, it's not a bad thing. You just need to try it. You might like it. You might say it's the best thing in the world. But a lot of people just don't know like how to use them, and you have to insert them, so that freaks a lot of people out. So I used to take ladies that were of other cultures like in the back room and show them how to use the tampon and just say, just try it. It's way better than those big fat pads sometimes. So, so it's just like, just like reaching a different population or different people that, even people in St. Louis, like the majority of our products go on our pads. So, yeah.
That definitely ties into the program that Cindy and I had on Wednesday. We got to teach some kids and some teens how to use some products, and people just, maybe have never experienced them, don't know how to use them. That's part of, period poverty, is just not having education to what is menstruation, how do you use period products, all those kinds of things. So thank you very much. Alrighty. The next question I have for all of you is about what are things that the folks in this room, or the folks that may be watching on live stream, or just folks in general that are interested in helping out with addressing period poverty, period stigmatization, what are some of the things that they can plug into through your organization or other opportunities you may know of to kind of make a difference, make a change in St. Louis addressing these issues? Cindy, will you start?
Sure, absolutely. Okay. I think mainly if they're going to plug into Planned Parenthood, I think the main thing would be talking about and normalizing the conversation about periods and menstruation, reaching out to us in the education department through education@ppslr is our email, and just asking any and all questions about menstruation, because we provide medically accurate, judgment-free, sex-positive, factual information. That is, we do research, we talk to our physicians at the health centers just to make sure we have the most up-to-date information. And especially with like products, with FDA approvals and just different ones coming out that may or may not be bodily and internally safe, we definitely do try to stay up to date with that information. So reaching out to us in the education department or just anyone through Planned Parenthood, asking those questions and getting that medically accurate information, and then distributing that information out into your community, either through parents to their children, or friends amongst friends, or even educators in the schools to their students during like sex ed class, or just taking a moment to ground ourselves in just life, because life is busy, and then just saying like, here's a fun fact, because why not? There's loads of fun facts about periods out there. And it's simple and complicated to talk about at the same time. So definitely like reaching out to us, as well as like organizations can reach out to us. We go out into the community and provide educational sessions to any organizations that work with youth, talk about sexual health or reproductive health and wellness. That's what we're all about. Reaching out to us if you have an organization or a part of an organization that talks about anything under that really vague umbrella. And we're always glad to partner with organizations like that and reach youth as well as adults in talking about anything and everything from menstruation to healthy relationships, communication, consent, STIs, birth control, the list goes on and on. But yeah, reaching out to us and continuing that conversation outside of events about periods and menstruation.
Lisa, would you like to go?
Yeah, so I think for us, it's a similar kind of just reach out and see. But right now, our biggest kind of how to get involved would be having the conversation with your friends and your peers and kind of just talking about it, reposting the stuff on Instagram or maybe sending it to people that might need to see it. We have a lot of people that kind of reach out and say, how can I help? What can I do? And the biggest thing is just spreading the word, talking about it. Donations are always helpful, but I know that it's not possible for everybody to donate. And so I think just talking about it enough is a good donation in itself. So we also sometimes direct people to your page. I do personally if someone reaches out and says they want more information on how to help, someone to send me to St. Louis Lines for Period Supplies, and I have sent people to Planned Parenthood as well. So yeah, just talking about it is the biggest thing that I think anybody here can do. Having those hard conversations with people that maybe the men in your life or the people that don't really want to talk about it, fathers sometimes I know can be tricky, but the more people that kind of just accept it and know that it's so normal, the easier it'll be to access these products for everybody.
Michelle?
Just wear your period power shirt right
Yeah.
here. That gets you all kinds of conversation if you wear that to a bar. A lot of conversation. But one fun story that did come out of it, I'm from Effingham, Illinois, and I went to it's a small little town, 12,000 people. An older gentleman was sitting at the bar. I was there visiting a friend. He actually took him probably about 2 hours to get the nerve to come up and say, "Is that a tampon hanging out of the can?" And then I proceeded to tell him it's like power to the period, it's period poverty, and he's just like, "I had never even thought about that girls wouldn't have the access to have that stuff." And but he actually worked for Harley Davidson. So he contacted his local Harley Davidson shop, and they have women Harley Davidson. I can't remember the name, what they call them. Women Harley riders. They have their own. They did a huge drive for that local community in Effingham, and then they donated all those period products that they did to the local schools. And they called me, and they were asking me, like, what should this guy? He's like, "I don't know, Michelle, this guy called, he said he met you, you have to do this, we have to do this." And so, all because I wore this shirt. If I wouldn't have worn this shirt, the guy would have never came up and said, "Is that a tampon hanging out of that hand?" So it led into a conversation, and I talked to the man for a long time, but he did a good thing. He took that information. He's like, "I never thought about it, that my granddaughter maybe wouldn't have products," or she's like, luckily his granddaughter wasn't in that situation because that is just horrible. So it worked out great. He did a big drive, they did a ride and collected a lot of products, and I said, probably start with the schools. Like, I'm not in that area, but I would call the schools and ask them if they would like to have them. So just get you a powerful t-shirt that does the talking for you. You can get them, I think, at Arch Apparel still. We do have them. When we go places, we'll sell them. So if you're just dying for one, you can call us at the Diaper Bank. I know we are looking at another design, so if any of you are very, artistic and want to design us another design, send them our way. We'll take the designs.
Cool. Great. All right. Does anyone in the audience have any questions for our panelists? We've got a couple minutes left. After this presentation, we will have some tables. We've got, Planned Parenthood set up their table out in the lobby. We also have a little activity if you'd like to participate. You can create your own little period packs. We have little zip-up bags, and we've got period supplies. We've got everything from chocolate to super tampons to little sanitary wipes. You can create them for yourselves, or if you'd like to create some to hand out in the community, feel free to do that as well. You can always let folks know that they can come to the library or any of the St. Louis Alliance for Period Supplies partners to get free products, but we thought this would just be a fun little tie-in to wrap up our own Period Action Day and Positive About Periods Week. So, anyone have any questions? Yeah, Maura.
I had a question for Lisa?
Louisa.
Louisa. So you're going off to college next year.
I
Do
am.
you have any plans for what's going to happen to the Free Project STL version?
Yeah, so it's definitely going to stick around. I don't plan on letting it fall off anytime soon. So we are in the process of trying to find someone a little bit younger to kind of take over. And then one of my board members actually goes to Webster University, so she'll be around. So she'll be supervising, but yeah, so it'll definitely still be here, and we'll still have the same partnerships with our schools and try to build some more.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Yes.
Hi, I wanted to say thank you so much. This whole thing was really great. I'm glad to be here. I was wondering, y'all were talking about on Wednesday where you were talking like kiddos, younger people. I'm really interested to know like what maybe like tactics, strategies, like age-appropriate concepts that you use to teach kiddos about periods. Because I think about like stigma, and it's so much harder to get rid of the stigma once it's like deep set, deep-seated later on in life. And like, I mean, how young can you teach a kid about the periods? In my opinion, it's like as soon as you start talking about something, the more normalized it becomes. So I'm just wondering how you guys have talked to like kiddos about that kind of stuff.
This is a question for me. In terms of age appropriate, I think it's always appropriate to talk about periods, no matter how young. I guess how you address it can obviously change. The younger a child is, the more concrete the thinking is. So sticking to very concrete facts of this is what a uterus is, this is what a period is, which is the shedding of the uterine lining when there's no pregnancy. And then moving on to, and maybe having like, we have a cute little uterus plushie that I have out on the table out there. And using those, using diagrams, and being very literal of like, this is what this is what this is, and this is what the process is of what a period is. And then having very, demonstrations, things to play with. I mean, everybody, but especially children love to play with things. So just having physical objects to mess around with, to get that understanding. And I know on Wednesday also it's like lots of interaction, and then also having them lead the conversation, because they may have heard some myth, some rumor maybe at school, and then having them ask you the question of like, what does this mean? I heard this, and just answering it honestly and truthfully. And there's loads of resources out there as well, not only the Planned Parenthood website, but there's also other websites like amaze.org is a great one for children, as well as Scarletine is a great one for teens to younger adults, where literally any and all topics within sex ed and sexual health and wellness is addressed on those. So, looking for those resources and then just sitting down, being literal with it, the younger the child is, and then having them lead the conversation. Because I can promise you children have more questions than they may lead you to believe. And they're great questions. And I know for me, I've been out of the first period game for forever, right? I've been having my period for a decade at this point. So there are things that I just forget. People don't know. Children don't know. And so having them ask that question reminds me of oh my God, yeah, you don't know what that is. And I'm more than happy and willing and glad to be able to answer that question for you. Yeah.
Anybody? Well, thank you all so much for being here. I'd definitely like to thank all of our panelists for participating in this panel today and for their partnerships and their continued work in addressing period poverty and stigmatization. We were so happy that you all joined us. And again, please join us up here on the stage and then out in the lobby If you'd like to ask any more questions of our panelists, or if you'd like to join us in the lobby to make some period care kits, we've got plenty of products out there, so we would love to see you create some for yourself or for some people in your life. Thank you all so much for joining us.